Usual Sunday ordeal, although I guess it hasn't been usual over the last week or so. But should be up and running, and I have a few new fun things to try out today. I've been testing a couple different Vanar decks that I've enjoyed quite a bit. They're all loosely based around Cryonic Potential, which is a card I had largely dismissed early on. I was like, oh, it's a buff spell that you can't get immediate value out of, and just sort of didn't look at it again after that. But Cryonic Potential gives +6/6. So somebody be a post. I don't know how to actually pronounce his name, but be a post on the forums. It reminded me this card existed. And he was like, "Hey, do you think you could make this card good?" I'm like, "Let me go take a look at it again." And the fact that it is +6/+6 means it just might be worth building around. And there's a couple things you can do to build around it. So the best time to use this card is as your turn 1 or your turn 2 play, mixed with 1-drops. Or gravity wells. Like, when you play this super early on with a 1-drop or a gravity well, it can just win a game outright. It's not nearly as good in the mid to late game because removal becomes a lot more prevalent and it's harder to get things to stick. But sometimes it's still pretty decent then should the right situation arise. And so it turned out to be a surprisingly good card, because just +6/+6 for 3 mana is massive. Yeah, you do run the risk of losing a 2-for-1. But as long as you have your card advantage covered with your curve and or generators, you can afford that, because the potential this card gives you, Cryonic Potential. The potential this card has is surprised me. Like, it just outright wins games. Sometimes it's not obvious, but when you get 2 swings in with a 8-attack thing on turn 1 and 2, sure, it may not be around the whole game, but that's what won you the game. So I messed around with it a bit, just finding different shells it could work in. This is my favorite of the 3 lists I made for it, which is loosely based on my Furry Aspect Fae list. Basically, the principle is, why bother with Ramp and Winter's Wake when we can just make walls good way before that mana point and just win before that kind of stuff usually starts coming around. And of course, it's still decent in the late game as well. So the principle being, forget Winter's Wake, let's just run Aspects and Enfeeble, and Mountain and Bear are massive tools, and Cryonic Potential also complements that as well, because you can just buff the Gravity Well, and it's a lot of fun. And so this is my favorite of the 3 variations, and probably the most overall successful, although the highest skill cap of the 3 decks. The next version I made was just an aggro variant, because I figured, that really can put you ahead on the aggro game, so why not give that a shot? And it worked great. It works great in an aggro deck, but you're now running an aggro deck that's a little bit more vulnerable to dispel than you'd like, plus the usual aggro problems of if your opponent has good sustain, like Zerion or Earth Spheres, you can have a bad time. But and I've never been a huge fan of aggro, but it definitely works out, and it's definitely a very solid aggro deck, and it fits in well there. And the last variant is pretty nifty. It's a Vespyr shell running another card that is generally not very good, but I've always wanted to make good, and that's Crystalline Reinforcement. Basically, we're already running Cryonic Potential. The dream is to play Cryonic Potential and then follow up with the Crystalline Reinforcement. Crystalline Reinforcements doubles the buffs that are on the field. So, between Cryonic, Kara, Bear's built-in buff, Cloaker's built-in buff, and Animus play, you can get a lot of mileage out of Reinforcement. I do only run it at 2 though, because it's sometimes pretty hard to set up and or win more. But that made room for me to fit in some endless hunts, since card advantage was a bit of an issue with the deck. But between Snow Chaser, Cryo, and Endless Hunt, I solved the card advantage. It's a pretty fun deck. It's got lots of Vespyr synergy, and it's just super proactive. The deck's biggest downside is it doesn't have a lot of really. It doesn't have any transforms. That's what it comes down to. We can clear fields really well between Cryo and Elemental, but if we start running into things like Imara or EMPs, it can be a little tough on the deck. But it's a very fun, really proactive deck that can really take a hold of the game early on. Unfortunately, all 3 do have a little bit of a vulnerability to Dispel, just because they are centered around buffs and walls, and that's ultimately their biggest downside here. But luckily, Ephemeral Shroud has not been seeing much play these days, and that's this deck's worst enemy. Lightbender and EMP are prevalent, but those aren't as bad, because EMP's pretty slow. We're usually far enough ahead by the time if and when an EMP shows up that we don't mind. And Lightbender's obnoxious, but if they Lightbender, they're probably not going to have the Dispel for both the potential and the walls, and that's sort of what we're hoping for. If we did run into a deck that was running 3 Shrouds, 3 Lightbenders, and 3 EMPs, we would probably have a really bad time. But that's just not where the meta's at these days. So it's been serving me pretty well recently. So it's a fun deck. I was very surprised with how good Potential was. So let's go ahead and hop into game here. I'll grab a game with each of them, and then we'll see where that leaves us. I think let's go ahead and start with the aggro variant to sort of get that one out of the way here. Because I've never been a huge fan of aggro, but it is a solid deck, and as aggro decks go, it's one I somewhat enjoy, because it's got a heavy positional focus, and a reasonably high skill cap isn't just pure smork, but it's still pretty smorky. Alright, so we're up against Ragnarok, which, he is one of the big bullies of the meta, but we tend to do alright. Okay, so we have we don't need the 2 Snow Chasers, so we have a really strong open here. This is one of my favorite openings here. Basically, open with something, and then turn 2, you get to do a 1-drop and a potential. If you're lucky, they leave the center globe, and if they leave the center globe, you usually win. If they take the center globe and force you to put your big buff unit on top or bottom, that's a little bit harder. But, this is what makes the deck so scary, is that people don't run Ephemeral Shroud, and people don't often take the center globe. And just that little bit of meta situation here gives us that wonderful opportunity to just really punish this. this globe gets left most of the time, and people just usually won't have a good answer for that turn 2 Cryonic Potential. Probably don't need a bear in this matchup. Ragnar, like, if we'd opened with walls, I might have held on to it, but there aren't usually any real single target things we tend to need to go after with bear. So we're mostly trying to dig for our Thunderhorn to go with our Aspect of Shimzar, and more Hearth Sisters, since they're the best way we have to clear eggs. That's a shame. He cleared our opening and took the good globe. But that's okay, because we can still do the backup play, and we have the Hearth Sisters, so it doesn't actually matter that our dude isn't going to be in range where we want him to be. 2 potentials. I mean, we'll see. Maybe we can play 2 potentials. That is definitely asking to get punished, though. Now, it'll definitely be unfortunate if he has to rebuke this turn. We'll also lose the Snow Chaser. He did take that center globe, and that's the big thing. Like, that's why these decks could be so brutal. Just if this center globe gets left for you, and you have one of the deck's preferred opening plays, it's rough. Okay, Gravity Well Potential is another one of my favorites. So something else that's sort of unique with this list is you normally use Gravity Wells and try to surround your opponent with them, but this list actively prefers to only keep one Gravity Well, assuming you have. Here, I'll just show you. It'll be a little easier that way. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and go for another potential here. We're going to tie up his field. Keep ourselves a little bit safe, and then we get to do this, and what this accomplishes is now the general is stuck with only that big old meat wall to attack. I should have put this here so that the Snow Chaser was going to be able to move up and get in there as well, but we do still have the Hearth Sister, so it's probably fine, but I could have positioned that a little bit better. And now we've got the Snow Chaser on the correct side. Even if he does rebuke, the rebuke won't kill this wall, and we'll at least get the Snow Chaser back. At this point, we're still just trying to find ourselves a Thunderhorn, but we're going to get a really big lead here. But I definitely could have positioned this Gravity Well better, because if I tossed it here, then I could have just moved this up, attacked with both, and Hearth Sistered the egg. So, but mistakes happen sometimes. Okay, there we go. Got a nice blood tier to follow things up with. Now we're definitely gonna toss that in. Let's go ahead, get our Snow Chaser up in here. Do some more damage. And then let's just get out of range of these dudes, because we do need to be conservative with our health here, as Ragnar Burst is pretty notorious. But I don't think he's going to recover, and this deck has just some really crazy, overwhelming openings that just secure your game like nothing else. At this point, we'll probably just be able to win off of Warbirds. I suppose I should have played around Macantor. That was my bad there. Definitely could have positioned things a bit better, but oh well. There are many things. No, he's got 3 health, unfortunately. There are many things. Yeah, okay, Arcadia made a good point. I should have done that. I should have made sure I could have just killed him with the Warbird that way. But I got... Yeah, Arcadia definitely... had the right idea there. So we definitely want to save this to potentially get the win. But that does put us in an awkward position because we've got to be really careful. Well, okay, we know we're going to Warbird. I think here's what we're going to do. We're going to stay somewhat close to him. That way we can hopefully get the kill off of Aspect Thunder, if that's what it comes down to. And we'll just body block one of these, because running over to the corner could have worked. But, you know, we can always run to the corner next turn, and we really will. Hopefully, I mean, so we'll either get an Aspect Thunder to clear the field to keep us alive, or we'll use it to finish him off, and that's why we're positioned like this. But Arcadia was right. I probably should have been less concerned about the Ripper and more concerned about just killing him. This is the aggro version of the deck after all, so I definitely screwed a couple things up there. A, I should have played around Mecantor. It was entirely my fault that my field got as punished as it did. And B, I should have probably pinged him rather than the egg, but Ripper's always making me nervous. If he plays that egg, well, okay, he may be able to avoid the Thunderhorn play, but we can still just wipe his field. I don't need two aspects. Alright, well, looks like we're just going to have to wipe his field and then win with Warbird. And, you know, that'll do the trick here. Yeah, we do need to pray for no Oni. If we get Oni'd, we could have a problem. Well, even if we do get Oni'd, we might be able to survive. Alright, we're good. We can clear his field completely. We can walk away from any potential Ripper combos. Yep, we can just get ourselves out of Ripper combo range, clean his field, and win with Warbird. We are just barely out of Ripper range, though. Why would I hit the Ragebinder? If I'd attacked the Ragebinder, it would have just gone to its egg and hatched on his turn. And then after Thunderhorn cleared, it wasn't my turn. Alright, well, that is exactly... That is exactly what this deck is designed to do. Just those really... that's why Cryonic Potential is just a really good card. It's an answer or die way earlier than answer or die is usually happening. You know, turn 1 or 2 is answer or die. And it's brutal. And, you know, it's okay in the mid and late game, although less good. I usually replace it later on, but it's just when you get it in your early hands and you've made sure you've included, you know, 1-drops and Gravity Well, it just wrecks people. Alright, so let's move on to my favorite of the 3 lists. Just this one is my speed here. Prismatic into Cryo, like Prismatic Illusionist, making, like, getting illusions. The best way I've found for Cryo is mostly as just a part of your turn 1 or turn 2, sometimes turn 3 with a 2-drop, or occasionally you'll throw it on a Malicious Wisp, but that depends on the matchup. You know, sometimes you'll just super buff a Wisp and just send it in there to do work. Alright, but yeah, on to my favorite of the three versions. This one's definitely the trickiest. Like it has the most potential for power, but it has a lot of finesse to play. There's a lot of positioning, a lot of baiting, a lot of just having to really cleverly use your cards. But I think it's a really fun list that's really well-rounded and powerful. It's probably the most vulnerable to Dispel out of the three. But in the right hands, even Dispel won't do you in. I'm gonna get a drink. Queue times are pretty long these days, but no surprise, like with the state of the game right now, it's a little bit rough right now. And we're not asking for much, just nerf Wanderer, readjust Khanum Ka, maybe bother Ragnarok. Like, just three tiny things, just a small balance patch, and everyone would be happy. Of course, would be happy with more than that too, but just a tiny, tiny change. But queue times, oh boy, should ban this guy. Blasphemy. Can I report this as profanity? Mostly kidding. I think this guy is joking. I think it's sarcasm. I think, but I can't ever be sure. Because there really are some people that do like Wanderer. I think they're madmen. That's the thing. It's all the Gauntlet players. All the Gauntlet players love Wanderer because Wanderer makes the ladder feel like Gauntlet. Gauntlet players don't mind that RNG. Boy, this is like a record queue time here. Well, thanks for stopping by, guy. Despite that, you have profanity in your name. Maybe my queue's broken. I don't know. Alright, well, let's see here. So we're up against Kalios. Enfeeble can be pretty good, depending... I mean, Kalios in general tends to run big units, so Enfeeble's probably good. He doesn't tend to be Swarmy, so it's probably a bit early for Aspect of the Mountains. And we don't have any walls in our opening hand, so I'm going to toss that Bear, too. Because we really do want to look for our... this deck can live and die by getting its Cryo as its turn 1 play here. So what do we got here? Okay, so it's not Ox Kalios, which suggests, probably... Oh, Chakra, interesting. Alright, let's see here. Oh, we could set up a Snow Chaser and deny the globe. It's not bad. I don't want to replace the Crypto since it paired nicely with the Mentor, but there are things I want more right now. Yeah, I guess we'll just set up the the early Snow Chaser and Globe Deny. It's not great, but it's not bad. We're going to hold on to those. Still holding on to that Enfeeble, though. It's good versus Arcanus. It's good versus a lot of the stuff that Kalios tends to do. Plus, if we do find ourselves a Luminous, it's always a fun pair. That's a nice Thunder Bomb. Looks like we're probably just cryoing this turn. No, we're going to get a... May have lost her opportunity to use Snow Chaser anyways. And we're going to draw another one, since that is the only Vespyr in our deck. Now it looks like... do I deny a Globe? Or do I contest them? Let's see. Do I need... I don't need extra mana next turn, and I don't want him to have 2 Globes. So we're going to take those. Do we want to be the aggressor, though? So it's a little bit of a shame to let the Snow Chaser go to waste, but I'm just going to keep him off of that Globe. Do I want to be the aggressor? We don't really know what he's playing. I mean, I don't like being aggressive versus Sockeye, especially since this deck has no healing at all. We're going to play it safe and just try to wait for our end game here. Well, Cryo, it's a bit late. This is generally not the time of the game you want to be playing it, but we'll see what happens here. Artifact Hunter, what is this guy playing? Well, looks like we're just gonna spam Cryo. And we'll get a new Snow Chaser out. Well, perhaps I shouldn't have replaced the aspect of the bear, but... Perhaps I should have been a little bit more cautious of getting backstabbed. Maybe he's playing... I just don't know what this guy is, what his angle is, but, we're just trying to make our way over to his side of the board and live there and start spamming Warbirds and Snow Chasers. But I may be about to be getting punished by the backstab. Ephemeral Shroud. Well, at least that does mean that's an Ephemeral Shroud he won't have if I do play Cryonic. So I may go ahead and just drop a Cryonic Mentor. It's not great, but not terrible. There's a little bit overkill on these Enfeebles, though. Okay, well, again, not ideal. But we'll go for it. It's not bad. We can lock him in pretty decently here. And more importantly, sort of protect our back. Now, he can get out by using teleport, but, we'll just sort of accept that. Do I attack the Kaido now or not? I think let's not, because... Let's see, what's more than likely to happen is he's going to move it down, teleport it, attack here so he can get away. But if he does it that way, then the Kaido will be vulnerable to this Luminous Charge. So we're just going to preserve our health Oh, we already attacked the shroud. Never mind. That's not even a contest. These potentials are showing up at the wrong part of the game. No Swamp Entangler. Although this is a deck Swamp Entangler could actually be very good in, because Swamp Entangler and Cryonic Potential could be a lot of fun. You know, this is definitely a list he could find a home in, but you know, Blood Tier and Snow Chaser are the better options. Oh boy, ooh! Okay, so he is indeed going, but he is just dead to walls. He should have gotten himself out of there. You should never risk this. He did have an out, just with his blink. But Enfeeble Luminous will do most people in if they get trapped. Well, no Cryonic Potential abuse this game, but that's alright. Alright, so it was a weird cobbled together backstab deck. Alright, well, success. So on to the third version of the deck. Definitely another fun one. I don't enjoy it as much as the Fae variant. Just, it's good, but it's... I mean, it's fun. It's fun. I just think it's not quite as good as the Fae variant. But it has its own merit. You know, it has different matchups, and it's a lot of fun. Because it can just pull off some real crazy stuff. After that, that's the end of my immediate agenda. I do have a few other lists I've been testing, so we could play those. Or I could play some extra games with any of these three potential lists, Cryonic Potential lists, should there be a desire for it. Otherwise, I'm open to suggestions. So this one is similar to the others, but instead of running Aspects and Enfeeble, we just use Kara for our wall synergy, because she's all you need. You don't need anything else to go along with your walls other than Kara. Plus, of course, it's still Cryonic plus Gravity or Snow Chasers and Natural. Another really fun one is Cryonic and Crystal Cloaker, because Crystal Cloaker's flying works out pretty well. It doesn't matter where he's positioned, he will hunt the opponent down. So pretty nifty, and you know, thanks to these all being Vespyrs, we have excellent synergy with Elemental and Bear. We've got our card advantage covered with Cryo, Snow Chaser, and Endless Hunt, which also summons Vespyrs, by the way. So does this. So does this. Lots of Vespyr synergy, so there's lots of ways to just make Borean Bears and Glacial Elementals go crazy. Animus Plate, of course, makes all the Vespyrs scary. And then occasionally we can, you know, just get crazy bursts out of Crystalline Reinforcement when the situation arises. It's properly. But it looks like we still have really long queue times. Alright. Okay, so looks like I'm pretty happy with this hand. Cloaker's a good open. Then we can do a turn 2 Gravity Cryonic. And then we have Elementals to keep his board cleaned up. We're definitely going to eat into our hand a bit here. That's alright. Alternatively, I could Gravity Well out the Cloaker into infiltrate range, but we're more interested in setting up our Cryonic Gravity than we are getting the infiltrate off on the Cloaker. Alright. So, do need to do this properly. We need both of these globes for this to work. So, but we want to set up the globes in such a way that only the big one is provoking. This also guards our back a little bit here. So now we can get this super rude turn 2 Cryonic play, and we can clean up one of these dudes here. And that's just what these decks are all about. Just Cryonic Potential is a surprisingly good card as long as you have built around it a little bit. Man, that's one of the big keys here. Hey, thanks for stopping by. This is the fellow that reminded me that Cryonic Potential existed, and I have had a lot of fun since he mentioned it to me, because I just, like, I saw the card on release, I'm like, oh, it's a buff you can't get immediate advantage out of, and I just hadn't thought of it since. Oh, okay, well, I'm glad you'll stop by. Oh, I was clearing my walls effectively. Let's see here. I don't want to... Alright, here's what we're going to do. We're going to... Alright, and we're going to attack the Kaido here. And then we're going to trade in the Cloaker here. And then we'll develop the Elemental and the Snow Chaser, which will clean the tar up the rest of the way. And now we're nicely set up for Animus Plate or Glacial Elemental Snow Chaser spam. Either, like, it's just those early Cryonic Potentials are just so brutal. Flame Wreath, but that is not going to do much for him unless he also has a Juxtaposition. Although if he does have a Juxtaposition, that will be a very nice recovery for him. Well, he's got to deal with the wall. Yeah, there you go. But because he left Elemental, his field does not frighten us. So we have a couple choices here. We can play our backup elemental, but I think we'll just hold off on our elemental for now, and we're just going to do the Wintertide, just because it's a strong development with our Bloodborne spell. Generally, you want to save Wintertide to clear a bigger field, but in this case, it's just a really nice point to curve out to. Plus, it sets us up for a really strong Animus play. I don't think we need to be the aggressor still, just because, you know, we have a really strong control engine, and, you know, once that Animus plate goes off, his health is just going to disappear real fast. He's just trying to draw some cards, but this Animus plate is going to give him a real bad time. Alternatively, I could still hold off on the Animus plate and just do another elemental. Let's see how much we need. 3, 4, 5 pings. 3, 4. Okay, we could do it. We could clean his field if we do this right. Oops, I probably could have done that better. Well, okay, we can also box them in. Let's see here. 3, 4, 5, 6. That takes 3, that takes 2. Okay, so yeah, we'll attack. Then we'll go ahead and... Oh, whew, need to play that elemental first. That was a close call. Oh boy, oh boy. That elemental. Can't lag. No, didn't quite get everything done I wanted there, but... And elemental could have certainly been positioned a little bit safer, but if he doesn't wipe my field, this Animus plate is going to give him a really bad time. Definitely set that up better, but I was having some lag and rope issues there. So, that's all 3 versions of the deck, or 3 for 3. Well, I guess this game's technically not over yet, but we do appear to be 3 for 3 here. If there are any other requests, or if you'd like, I can just go through and give everyone a second game. Just let me know what you guys prefer. I think a nice Animus plate is all we need here. Can I please play my cards? Alright, he's just surrendering. I'm sort of glad he did, because I was having some trouble completing my turn there. I think I'll at least scrap a game with my favorite of the list, the aspect variant. Let's see if we can go 4 for 4. But yeah, Cryonic Potential, pretty good card, surprisingly. Looks like, yeah, unfortunately, Q4 does still appear to be missing in action. We're not asking for much, just Wanderer needs to be changed, Conum Khan needs to be changed, and maybe Ragnara, Zirian, and Burn could get adjusted, but, you know, the folks aren't asking for much. Just change Wanderer, change Conum Khan, and the game will be generally pretty healthy. Or, you know, at least fun again. But I certainly wouldn't mind a full expansion and a large balance patch, but just small adjustment will make the masses happy. But, you know, they still have time. Alright, there we go. Wisps are always good. Cryonic's fun, but we need something to put the Cryonic on. It's a little early for the Luminous. I'm reluctant to replace a Wisp, but we really do want to find something to abuse with this Cryonic super early on. Gravity Well will do the trick. Reluctant to replace a Hearth Sister, but there are things I want to see more. So, yep, we'll just open with the Hearth Sister. Not great, but not bad. And then we'll do our turn 2 Gravity Cryonic, which is pretty brutal. Given 99% of Abyssalists run Demonic Lure, and we did replace our backup Hearth Sister, so the wall may get tossed into a corner somewhere, but that's okay. Alright, so we've got to take both of these for this to work. Let's go ahead and clear this before we move. That way there's a chance the tile will show up in a spot that won't do anything. I don't think we need this cryo in this matchup, though. And Feeble we may need, especially if he's running Juggernauts. Alright, tile up there. Now we... yeah, we're going to provoke it, so... yeah, let's go ahead and wander all the way over to the middle. And now let's set these walls up in a way that only one of them, the big one, is gonna be bothering him. And even if he does lure it, it will have already gotten value by killing the use for us. Alright, that's my favorite turn 2. Well, turn 3, you know, Wisp followed by Mountains. We're just getting all kinds of fun stuff these games. Ooh, no lure or punish. Rough. But that sister will go a pretty long ways for him. Can probably live without the Enfeeble. Then again, we May want... Nah. We don't really need this spare gravity well. That's just creep food. Yep, I think we'll just go ahead, start getting aggressive. Oh, just alright. So we'll play the Wisp where it's safe. Actually, there's going Faice while he has a sister out really may not be wise. Do I want to trade in the gravity or force him to trade? Let's force him to trade. Well, potential. Not great in the mid game here, but we'll see what happens. Demonic conversion. I may go ahead and cryonic my Wisp rather than mountaining it. Hard call, because we know this Wisp is just going to get punished soon, so playing the cryonic on it in this matchup, probably unwise. Although if he gives me something to kill with the mountain, I may go ahead and go for it. I stole one of my cryptos. Yeah, alright, we'll go ahead and go for a mountain. I'm going to toss the Enfeeble. I hope I don't regret this. Alright, so pop it up here. Trade. And then aspect it, so he'll never get the mana back. We'll also simultaneously clear that off. Do I? Nah, really not wise. Like, this is not... Hey, Valhalla, thanks for stopping by. This is not an aggro list, and, you know, trading Faice while his sister's out just does not feel good. Okay, should be able to clean up sister with our spare aspect. See, though, if he positions well, he may be able to protect her. Desolator. Yeah, go and trying to take the aggro route. Okay. I will be able to clean up the sister. Just not quite how I'd hoped. Alright. I think Cryonic's just too risky at this point. He hasn't played a single lure or punish this game, so if I play Cryonic, it's just gonna backfire. So let's go ahead and get this field cleaned up. And now that we've dealt with that, now we can start taking the aggressive route. Because he does appear to be playing a creep list, so we do need to be trying to kill him before 8 mana. Mindblade. Fancy. Still gonna hurt, though. Yeah, he's getting pretty low here. I think at this point I am going to hold on to the Enfeeble. Just because I may need it. Don't want to replace my Snow Chaser, though. But we can probably live without the bear. Yeah, Wisp. Never bad to see. We're definitely going to Warbird. We're definitely playing the Wisp. The question is, do we want to play the Wisp in his face? Yeah, I think we do want to play the Wisp in his face. So let's do it this way. Let's go ahead and clear this ooze. We'll use the Snow Chaser to finish it off. And we'll play the Wisp. So, curiously, that Mind Life is actually going to mess him up a bit. Because while sure he can steal the Wisp and kill it off, the Mind Life, he won't get his mana back if that's what happens. My health is a little bit low, but the Wisps have kept him off of any of the dangerous mana points, and his health is much worse off than mine is. Now, he can kill the Wisp just by, punching it and using Scar. Well, Scar and then punching. It's just the Mind Lathe makes that Wisp a little awkward. But this is not looking great for him. But my health's also a little low, and we know he's running crazy amounts of sustain. He's running Desolate. He has a Desolator in hand. He's playing Shadow Dancer and Pulses. But I believe that is game just off of Blood Tier there. Okay, we could have bared the Desolator to stop the bleeding. We'll go ahead and show that we did have a spare answer, just in case that was a Klax or something. He was still pretty well doomed there, but just those Cryonic Potentials really, really win games. Sometimes they get answered, that sucks, but it's not usually that much of an investment. Yeah, you do go 2 for 1, but you really force them to answer it on some pretty crucial turns. And when they can't answer it, which happens a lot, especially that early in the game, it's a brutal play. Well, I'm having fun with the list, and I haven't heard any other requests, so I think I'll just keep playing this list until somebody tells me to do something else or I run out of time. Really long queue times today. It's been pretty brutal. Just need a small, tiny patch. Small patch will revitalize things. At least I hope so. Well, we've been getting 2-minute queues pretty much every game. I think we had a 4-minute queue once too. It has been a little rough. Let's see, what are some other things I've been... Oh, there we go. Alright. Okay. I've matched up against him, I think, earlier in the stream today. Last I checked, he was playing Arcanist Burn hybrid here. Yeah, I've been laddering a little slow these days. Alright, let's see here. That is a lot of... He's not playing an artifact list unless he's changed it up since the last time I matched up into it. But he is playing Arcanist the last time I checked, so we do pretty much want all of our removal here. If it was the other way around, you know, it's a bit of a coin flip with Shidai. Like, you probably want either all of these mentors and neither of those, or both of those and not these mentors. But based on what I saw him doing earlier, we're gonna go with our most recent meta knowledge and do it that way. Alright, so we could do a bear. That's not ideal. Luminous Charge is going to be pretty hard to set up. It's a bit early for it. Ooh, Cryonic. Yeah, I could do a really early Cryonic, but it's going to feel pretty bad because he can just avoid the buffed up wall. So it just may not be worth it. I think I'm just going to do a little bit of an awkward play here. I think we'll just Globe Deny, and then we'll transition into a bear. Globe Denial, and then we can... Now, we can also do potentially like Bear Cryonic, but that's not often worth it. Yeah, we're probably just going to play Bear just so we can clean that up. Again, Luminous is really good, it's just not what we need in this matchup at this time. Yeah, we'll just clean that up there. Testing all the globes. Enfeebles are decent in this matchup, just, you know, they deal with Owl Beast buffs and whatnot. I don't know if I'll keep both of them. Well, speaking of Owl Beast, I may end up just casting an Enfeeble just to clear it. Alternatively, I could just cryo it. Tough call. Yeah, I think I will just... It's a bit of an expensive Enfeeble, but that's alright. I don't think he's running Transform, so I may hold on to this Cryonic yet. Yeah, we're just going to hang tight with our hand here. And we'll play an awkward Enfeeble this turn. Keep that there to keep him locked down. And we'll call that good. We did not have the strongest of openings this game, but you know, we're just playing the control game and trying to bide our time here. Alright, yeah, Cryonic's just not looking super feasible right now. course, I replace into a perfect target for it. Alright, let's develop Snow Chaser just because we can. We do want to keep, and we just want to keep that fairly safe. Yep, good enough. Not the most explosive of turns like we usually hope for with this deck, but we are slowly chipping away at him and developing, and we've got answers. I've been holding on to this Spare and Feeble for when that second Owl Beast showed up. But I may not... Okay. Let's see here. I think we just have to enfeeble just to deal with this problem. I may need the Bear Transform. Probably live with... Well, I can live without this Spare Warbird. Alright, so let's deal with this Owl since it is the biggest problem here. And go ahead and play a Snow Chaser because we can. Alright, let's see here. It's the best we got. Not ideal because we are having trouble. These two things in the field can definitely snowball out of control here. But we're doing our best just to keep his problem Arcanus in check here. He's definitely snowballing. We might be able to get a nice recovery out of this Blood Tier Mountain. Depends on how he plays things. I think he timed out. And he may have given us a perfect mountain spot. Okay, he's going to hide that, which is wise. Yeah, we can do without this crypto. Alright, let's just clean this field up and push a little bit more damage with that Snow Chaser. Now that kindling's still a problem, but this over here we have got to deal with first. That was a pretty fun match. I can likely clean these folks up with Cryo and Bear, although it's going to be a bit awkward. Just getting all my Snow Chasers. But yeah, Snow Chaser and Cryo just keep you from ever really needing to worry about your hand. And we're just keeping his field clean and slowly whittling him down with Fae and Snow Chasers. Sometimes that's what you've got to do. It's a really flexible deck that can adjust its game plan based on what's going on. Definitely a really fun and tough match. Really, ooh, you got another Sparrowhawk. That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt a lot. Oh god, he's gonna need a backstab off of it too. Oh no, did he rope? Okay, well, I would have felt bad if he roped. Right. Definitely gotta toss one of these Snow Chasers. That's gonna happen for sure. I think we... a little awkward, but I think we cryo this. Bear the Pando, just so we don't take any free damage from it. And Seismic can trade into it without harm. Then we can walk out of immediate range of... I don't know, I guess we can't really walk out of range there. Whew. Do I play double Snow Chaser, or do I go for the Bloodbound spell? I think we've got to keep that off of our face here. I'm just gonna Snow Chaser spam and hope that's enough, but it's starting to look like it may not be. He's running out of stuff though, and I've got a steady stream. But if he finds himself another teleport, I am finished. If he finds a Trinity or another Mist Dragon, I'm done for. But if he doesn't get either of those this turn, I should be able to clean his field up and really start to overwhelm him with chasers here. It's definitely a fun match. We may yet even play a Cryonic. We'll see. Oh, don't be a Thunderbomb. Oh no, Thunderbomb! Ouch, am I dead? No, I'm alive with 1 health. Sort of. Ooh, that Pando could be the end for me. Yep, it looks like that Pando is the end. Oh, and he also did it so I can't Warbird either. Smart, smart. Let's see, 5. Nope, I guess that's it. He drew really, really well this game, and I drew pretty mad. I didn't get any of my explosive early starts. Well, I'll do what we can, but unfortunately, the 1 damage from Panda is going to be what does us in. What a shame. Well, guess we'll go ahead. Go out with a bang here. That was a fun match, though. First loss of the day here. Yep, cry on the Pando. That was a fun match. He drew really, really well, and I drew meh. But you know, it was still pretty fun. But he just kept drawing those teleports, and I just couldn't quite recover. It was back and forth for a long time there, though. But that Thunderbomb, that did it. Alright, well, let's grab another round here, unless there's something else everyone wants to see here. Somehow I managed to get into training here. There we go. Come on. Get me back to... Ah, client, why? Why you do this? Just let me queue up. I should probably restart my computer, or at least the client, but only got a half hour left, so gonna muscle through this. Alright. Finally queuing up here. There we go. Now we gotta wait another 4 minutes in queue. suppose we can look at some of the other things I've been working on recently. I decided to go ahead and update my old bottomless abyss list, just ramp Lilith, just see if I could get it fine-tuned for the meta, and it's been doing alright. It holds its own, but Vitruvian's pretty hard on it. I went back to Revenants to try, like Revenant Chakram can really go a long way in the vet matchup, but it's definitely not an easy. It tends to utterly wreck Wanderer, because Wanderer can't reliably answer these big units, plus Paragon's a strong anti-tech there. It does decent versus most swarmy lists, thanks to Chakram and, well, Pony again. It can develop a nice early game. It's got sustain. It's got a bit of everything going for it. It's just the Vitruvian matchup's a bit disheartening. And there's just not a whole lot I can do to prepare it for there. I mean, I guess maybe I could try to fit the Lightbenders to deal with the Pulp, but that just really doesn't work. The only way this deck tends to beat that is if it gets those Dark-Fired Vorpals before Blood of Air or Sand Swirl shows up, and then you can pull it off. But crap, I forgot. I said I was gonna help out Rock Saint, but I forgot. Well, looks like he may have forgotten as well, since he also hopped into game. Well, if he does stop by, we'll talk about Stygian Observer and friends. Alright, oh yeah. Alright, so we have one of my favorite opens here. We've got, turn 2, Snow Chaser, Cryonic. That's the thing that tends to just really secure games. Luminous, probably a bit early for, and I don't like replacing my aspect, but sometimes you gotta. Cryo's really good in this matchup. Enfeeble's not usually, unless... Oh, he surrendered. Well, that's a shame. Alright, well, let's see. Did Rock Saint drop by? It's not on the list. What's going on here? Alright, well, let's go ahead and pull up his list. I've tinkered with Stygian Observer in the past. It was always okay, but it just always felt a little bit too difficult to set up. Like, you're always in the position of, it's not as good as... It just has too much competition with Unbirth or the normal Swarm tools. Like, it can't compete with Unbirth, Chakram. Well, usually run Chakram in the Stygian list anyways, but it can't compete with Unbirth, Deathfire Crescendo, or Grimoire. But it does have a few interesting lists that you can do with it, and I've had moderate success in the past, but nothing that's truly that exceptional. What is this? Oh, this is nothing. Let's go ahead, take a look at what he's got, and if he is hanging out and I just didn't see his name, or he's got a different name, something along those lines, he'll hear me chatting about it. If not, I'll go ahead and make a few tweaks if need be and send him what I got. It looks like he's got a pretty solid shell. Okay, he's just going for... Oh, that's a neat way to do it. Basically just building a pretty normal ramp list instead of trying to make it swarmy. Yeah, no, it's a really good Chakram list. It's got both the Revenant and the Tiger to go along with Stygian. Darkfire is a natural complement to his big unit, so it looks pretty solid. I'm not sold on this package here. What I would probably do... Oh no, Herald's got to stay. What I would do is I would trade these guys out for the mech package. And that's what I've done in the past. Okay, it's Metal Tooth. The Replicant Metal Tooth Nightmare Operant package goes a long way. It gives you some card advantage, gives you lots of 2-drops, and more importantly, gives you yet another rush unit to abuse with Chakram or Stygian. I think this list does have some potential. It's been a while since I messed with it, but I was already messing with updating some of my big Ramp Abyss list as it was, so I'm going to go ahead and add this to the list of projects. Okay, he had a pretty solid shell there. I really just liked his list overall, other than I traded out that for those couple cards there for the mech package, and that's actually just a really solid list. Let's see here. I would probably trade, as much as I love Reaper of the Nine Moons these days, and as much as it's great with Chakram, I think Paragon will probably suit the deck better. Just give you a good answer to Wanderer, and of course, it's just good to have on hand. And we have enough things that we want to ramp out. We wouldn't want to waste ramp on a Reaper, and Chakram's really what we probably want to be playing on 5 mana. So let's go ahead, cut Reaper out, add in our anti-Wanderer tech, and this just may be a list that I want to mess with. Hold on. Took something else. Oh, right. So needed to toss those heralds back in. Accidentally started cutting them. I'll give that a couple whirls here. Could be fun. Lots of rush, so we can kill eggs just with rush minions. We can hopefully deal with Fault just with the usual. Hey, Droxane, thanks for stopping by. That's okay. I only just got around to it. Here I made a few adjustments. This is how I would run things here. I traded your 2-drops and your Sojourner for the mech package, because that gives you draw, and more importantly gives you another. I do have a mech version, but I go for Unbirth, and that. But Replicant helps cover the draw, similar to Sojourner, while of course providing fodder for Metal Tooth, which of course all of our rush minions are great for Chakram, as well as Stygian. We have the natural high end to go along with our Darkfire, and it looks pretty solid. Like we've got Desolators. Desolator's what's missing here, which does make me a bit sad. I can probably live without the... I don't want to toss the Paragon, though, because it is really good. But card advantage could be a concern, and this is already a list that's going to be pretty hard on Wanderer in general, because Wanderer has trouble dealing with big, greedy... I still like my Desolators. The deck needs ping, it needs healing, and it needs card advantage. And I mean, that is a fair point. I have also left Desolator out of Stygian lists in the past for that exact reason that sort of messes with your pool there, but no, I think the Desolators are just too... This is a list that it's already good against Wanderer, so we don't need the Paragon. As much as I like Reaper, we have better options than Reaper for what we're going for here. And, you know, Desolator's just going to give us that heal, ping, and card advantage that we need. This is pretty similar to how my old Mystics list ended up looking. I think in the past I'd skipped trying to go for Vorpal and Revenant and instead tried to hone in on the more swarmy side of it. Like, I could dig up my really old Mystics list from expansions past, but I think this will be a little bit more suited for the meta. Basically, you know, we're playing the ramp angle to just give Wanderer a bad time, and we're playing the rush angle because Vitruvian's really hard on your normal ramp angle. So that looks pretty promising there. Now let's go ahead and compare it to my current ramp list that I was messing with there. So, alright, instead of EMP, we have Stygian, which they're similar. Yeah, I mean, they're the same mana cost, but very different purposes. You know, EMP covers us against walls and friends, but you know, we're okay versus wall decks. You know, like Revenant can be pretty hard on wall decks. Wall list could definitely be an issue here, as without EMP we don't have any dispel. Although we could potentially skip Vorpal in favor of EMP, but I don't think I want to do that because those turn 2 Vorpals really can win games. I guess we could potentially leave out the Desolators for EMPs, which is again a bit awkward, but it's a thought. Oh, these would definitely at least be in the sideboard for sure. Just how much? I mean, part of the reason of Desolator was artifacts, and of course the other part was heal and card advantage. EMP does cover our card advantage just by virtue of raising our curve, and it does cover artifacts, and it does cover walls. What it doesn't cover is healing, but that's... That's true. You know, Chakram goes a long way against wall decks, but you don't always get your Chakrams. I don't know, again, I guess rush minions in general are pretty good at helping us keep wall decks under control. Yeah. EMP doesn't really do anything to Wanderer, it doesn't do anything to Fault, and while it's good versus artifacts, Desolator is better because artifact tends to mostly be Songhai these days, so you really need the healing factor there. So EMP would definitely, you know, be in the sideboard, but I like this thought. Well, let's go ahead and give this a whirl. That looks pretty good to me. Cleaned it up a bit. It's been a while since I've played with Stygian Observer, and I really like your Angle Druk Saint of mixing it with a ramp deck rather than just trying to make a swarmy or dedicated combo deck. I think that's a good angle, and I like it, and I want to see if we can make that work here. Well, to answer your question, since you probably missed my little bit of exposition about Stygian, it's a neat card, but I tend to find it is overshadowed by Unbirth or Swarm Tools. But we didn't make an Unbirth or a Swarm list, we made a ramp list, and that makes sense. So I like your angle there. traditionally the places I've tried to fit it just didn't feel great. It felt like, oops, I need to still get the deck in the client here. My client is really lagging up on me. Still on the screen for reasons I don't totally understand. I really probably just need to restart Duelist, restart my computer, do all that jazz, but I'm just trying to muscle through it because I don't want to go through with that, especially midstream here. Well, I mean, I was trying to build around it. I always felt it was overshadowed by Unbirth or normal Swarm tools. But I didn't really mess too much. Like, I was building, like, dedicated decks around it, you know, cramming all the rush in, cramming carded. Okay, that's what I did in the past. It was basically this list, but instead of Vorpal and Spectral Revenant, I had digging power like Inkling and Friends, just to be able to find Stygian and Darkfire reliably. But that just never ended up working out. It was a decent deck, but it just wasn't quite reliable enough to make work. I like this angle of, instead of being overly reliant on Stygian, just also being a ramp list. I like that. It's not something I'd messed with too much. ET, ramp, sticks. I don't think I see a spot for the Celebrants at all. They seem a little bit awkward and out of place. I mean, they are another source of ramp, and they are a good 2-drop, and they can overwrite tiles. Like, Celebrant's a good card, but don't know if I'm sold. But yeah, it's definitely got potential. It is going to have a bad time if it can't find Darkfire. It has no early game, though. That is a bit of concern. But that's partly another reason why I put the Desolators in there, is they really give you a mid-game bridge when you can't find your Darkfires or your big targets. You can just sort of spam Desolator and wait. And, you know, reliable way to go about things. But I think I'm pretty happy with this draft of it. But these long queue times. Alright, well we got Stygian Rush, always good to see. Tigers are good versus Reva in general. Probably don't need Vorpal. We're more, we'd probably go for Stygian over Vorpal, given the opportunity. We do need to replace 2 cards, because finding Darkfire is a pretty high priority. Really don't want to place Desolator, because we're really probably going to need it in this match. But I've got to replace 2 to try and find the Darkfire. We've got a lot of Rush in this deck. We can afford to replace the Tiger. We have a lot of Rush. Okay, so it's not Wanderer, which means it's more than likely some sort of aggro-esque deck, so we're definitely going to need our Desolator and our Herald, and Chakram is just going to get broken lightning fast, so let's go ahead and toss our Chakram for now, and just start with some Replicant spam and go from there. Oh, we've got our healing squared away. We probably don't need 2 Desolators, but let's see. Man, usually I replace the 3rd Replicant? Awkward. No, we'll replace one of our Desolators. And usually I replace the 3rd Replicant, but it looks like I'm just going to go ahead and play it this round. Let's make sure that isn't just going to die to a Thunder Bomb. Let's deny her Globe access, contesting ours, and clear out our hand a bit. Alright, well, we're in pretty good shape here. You know, we've got answers to Heartseekers and artifacts for days. We've got our Stygian prepped, and we've got heal ready to go. Definitely a bit early for Revenant. Really like to top deck a Vorpal and just take both globes and drop him early, but we'll see. We will see. He hasn't done any damage to me yet. I mean, if it's 8 gates or Mantra. Okay, there. Oh, clear in the field. Oh, I didn't see what he burned. Crap. But yeah, it's definitely too early for Revenant. We did find the Vorpal too. Sad. Alright, well, let's go ahead. Shadow Spawn. Yeah. Alright, well. Make some Wraiths. I think we'll just go trade Faice and play a Herald. A little awkward, but, you know, that will do the trick. I mean, we gotta play something. We don't want to waste that heal. So let's go ahead and toss this here where it can contest both globes for us. And now we may be able to take both globes and drop Stygian. That'll work for me. He just has not been doing a lot on his turn, has he? Oh, Ghost Lightning. Obnoxious, but Artifact Hunter. And we may go ahead and just drop the early Vorpal. Oh, never mind. He's successfully cleared our field yet again, leaving us with not a lot to do. Alright, Vorpal can go. A little awkward, but it'll work. We can just take the globe and throw down a Desolator just because we can, and just sort of hang out for a bit here. There's the range stuff, but we can. But we have Rush and Desolator spam. At this point, I think I'll replace one of these Tigers because we're getting close enough to Revenant that it may be relevant pretty soon here. I think we'll just sort of start to think about guarding our back here. Clear that. Play Shadow Spawn, see where that gets us. Alright, and let's just guard our back for safe measure. It may have been unwise as... Yeah, no, I've screwed up. I should have Demonic Lured. This way instead of Bloodborne spelling, this way my Desolator didn't get burned off. So that Desolator is going to be pretty important in this matchup. So I may have screwed up a bit there, but oh well. Yeah, I may get punished for this. Yeah, I should have been a little bit more cautious. Alright, well, we don't need this lure now. I could play Stygian, but it's just not going to do much. I do. Well, thanks for stopping by, Druk Saint. I could have played this match a little bit better. But it's my first game with the deck. It's been a while. So we could play Stygian. That just doesn't feel good. Playing Tiger also doesn't feel great, but I think that's just sort of what we got to do. We're drawing lots of rituals and stuff that we don't need. But we can do Stygian and Dark Firing one of our Wraithling Bloodborne spells. And that will start to pump our hand up real nice. Definitely don't need two of these banishings. Never bad to see. Alright, well, let's go ahead and make sure we don't eat it to this Grincher. Shadow Spawn. We'll body block the Grincher. And then we'll go ahead and Dark Fire this Wraithling. And I think, do we go ahead and play the Herald? Yeah, we'll go ahead and just play the Herald just so that we can hopefully finish off his artifacts. Because we can just play Revenant next turn. You know, that way we can hit him with the Herald once and the Revenant to finish the artifacts off. Is likely just gonna clear out the Stygian with Rincher and a ranged attack. that's okay, because we mostly just did not want a spine cleaver. Well, I mean, luckily we can get rid of those. Should we? Ooh, he. Oh, he. Ooh, boy, he gave us a pretty big revenant here. All right, I'll take it. But at the same time, this is a bit concerning. Now we don't have a way to finish his artifacts off. But if we can go Faice and survive a turn, if I could find a mech. Ooh, 3, 4, 5. Okay, beautiful. All right, so now we can. Let's see. We can clear. Clear the. Hold on. Let me think this through. All right. Well, we know for sure we're going to play this on this. And then we're going to pop this. We're more afraid of the ranged than we are that, which is a little bit weird, but it is what it is. And then we'll hit him here, and all we gotta do is survive and finish him with Revenant. That is all we gotta do. It's not a real tall order, but 5 cards in hand at this mana point, that is definitely making me nervous. Whew, bit of a nail biter. Alright, he's running away, that's a good sign. He's casting Phoenix Fires on that minion, that's a real good sign. I think we have this in the bag with our Revenant. There's no healing he could really do to keep him alive from that Revenant either. Alright, 12-12 Overkill Revenant for the win. Alright, deck works pretty well, and we didn't even have a real good hand. We had a pretty meh hand. Well, I think that's really all I have time for today, especially since with my lag issues, at the very least I've got to restart my computer, get a snack, and restart Duelist, and maybe restart the router too. So, that's probably it for the day. I don't know, I might get back on in an hour or so. We'll see. We'll see how things go. But thanks for stopping by, everyone. I will catch you all later.